You might be surprised to learn how incredibly versatile a box of cake mix is. In fact, there are so many desserts you can make. I could never make it through all of them here on my YouTube channel in my entire existence. If you're new here, I make my own cake mix. This is equivalent to a box of cake mix. I have the recipe on my website. I'll have it listed in the description box below. It is insanely easy. Literally anybody can make it. And I would be willing to bet you already have all of these ingredients in your pantry. You don't even need to go out and get a box of cake mix. Flour, sugar, baking powder, and salt. I pour them all in here, shake it up, and you're good to go. So let's get started on these recipes. I'm gonna show you 3 new recipes here, but if you need more inspiration, I've got several other videos here that you can check out where I've made different things from a box of cake mix. Some of our favorite desserts ever have come from those videos. We're gonna make some chocolate chip cookie bars, not cookies, but cookie bars. I am doing a half recipe. If you've been here before, that is typically what I do when I do box cake mix recipes, because we don't need like 16 cookie bars lying around our house. Now, I am gonna plan on taking these to church with me, which is typically what I do, but feel free to double this recipe and that would be the normal size. Again, I'll have it in the description box so that you can see it, but I have my mixing bowl here and I'm gonna start with half of this cake mix box, or jar rather, the way that we're doing it. I know everybody says baking is a science, and I would agree with you. However, when you're using a box of cake mix, it's pretty easy to just eyeball things. We're gonna put in 1 egg. So personally, I'm a fan of coconut oil. I know a lot of people in baking use vegetable oil and things like that. I think that coconut oil is our preference. We actually don't use vegetable or canola oil at all. So coconut oil to me is the best in baking, as long as you know there's no allergies or anything like that to coconut. So for this, now normally you would do about a 1/4 cup of coconut oil or whatever oil you're using. I'm gonna do a little more than half, and we need to melt this. All right, that's going in. This is gonna make a pretty thick batter. We're gonna go ahead and mix it together. And you can just use a regular beater. That's totally fine too. Now, because of the coconut oil, sometimes the batter can be really crumbly or crumbly, right? Either way, if you're using a different oil, that may not happen, but all you have to do is just put like a tablespoon of water into the batter and it pulls it all together. And I think if my eggs were at room temperature, that probably wouldn't be it probably wouldn't be the case. But because my eggs are cold and the coconut oil is coming back to like a hardened state, it's not a nice smooth mixture until you add in that water. So that's that little tip. I'm using mini, semi-sweet mini chocolate chips. We just prefer the mini, pretty much always have. So that's why I'm going with that. And just about a half bag or so. We'll mix that. If you wanted to make this into a cookie cake where it was the pie shape, you would put it in a round pan. I'm going with a square 9 by 9. I believe this is what this is 8 by 8. If you're doing the full version, then you'd want to use a 9 by 13 pan. We're gonna give it a good spray. Get my spatula. There's a few chocolate chips at the bottom there that didn't seem to want to cooperate and incorporate. There's a lot of chocolate chips in here. Okay, so now just take this out, right into the dish, and just kind of spread it out. Like I said, it's gonna be a very thick batter. My oven is currently preheating to 350 degrees as well. One side is a lot more chocolate chip heavy. Let me fix that a little bit. Okay, you can use your fingers if you need to press it out. Just get it semi-even. All right, these are gonna go into the 350 degree oven for 20 to 25 minutes. We'll check them. I'll check them at 20 because we prefer them to be a little underdone, but our oven takes a little longer than normal. For this next recipe, we're making chocolate zucchini muffins. So for all of you that are gardeners and you just don't know what to do with all that leftover zucchini, maybe you shredded it and you threw it in your fridge, or you cubed it and threw it in your fridge, this is a great way to use it. Now I'm taking my regular white box of cake mix here, and we're gonna turn it into a chocolate box of cake mix by adding 1/4 cup of cocoa powder, okay? That's all you gotta do, so simple. So yes, you could go out and you could buy a chocolate box of cake mix, or you could just do this if you already have it. And then you just mix, just like so. Now for this recipe, my oven needs to be at 350 degrees, and I think we might make mini muffins. I'm gonna start with mini muffins and see how many that gets us, because I do think that mini muffins would be better to take to church with me. They'll just kind of be better on a platter for people to pick up 1 or 2 instead of a big muffin that has to be cut anyway. So I'm gonna do that, but you could make regular size muffins. It doesn't matter at all. All right, we're pretty good and mixed, and we're making the whole recipe, so this one's good. I'm gonna take my mixing bowl. I have about 2 cups of zucchini here. Now, normally I just shred it, but this time I put it in my food processor. Is that the right word? Yes. And I just pureed it because my daughter said that sometimes when she finds the shredded zucchini in the zucchini bread or muffins or something like that, it kind of like grosses her out. So, and she's kind of a texture person. So I figured I would just throw it in the food processor instead. So 2 cups of that, we're gonna go straight here into this bowl. These are so easy, y'all, like crazy easy. I'm gonna add a few other things, but it's insane. All right, let's add 2 eggs. And I'm gonna give that a mix before we add in the chocolate cake box. That's good. Now we take the box of cake mix, and I'm gonna add in this whole thing. And we'll see what this looks like when we mix it together. You may need to add a little bit of water to kind of pull the batter together. My zucchini had a lot of liquid in it though, so I don't think I'm gonna have to, but we'll see. Nice. We've got a good thick batter here. That's exactly what we want. Okay, that's perfect. Actually, let me show you. Nice batter. Now, obviously, this is adding more sugar, but I'm gonna just throw in a few chocolate chips just for the fun of it. I mean, we gotta live a little, right? We got zucchini in there. Let's pull all that together. I don't think I've used this pan in like 100 years. Let's give it a good spray. Like a really good spray. I'm going to use my 1.5 tablespoon scoop, which you guys, if you've been here, you know this is absolutely one of my favorite kitchen things, tools. I use it all the time. So we're just gonna take a scoop and fill each one. Y'all, I went out to the chicken coop this morning. Well, first of all, let me tell you. So the other day, my son went out there and we give them treats. We give them mealworms. And whenever we do, we open the run door and reach in there because they eat it out of our hands, which is fun. So I guess when this happened, the dog at the same time broke the fence when my son was feeding them their mealworms. So the dog broke the fence, the chickens got out of the run, the chickens got out of the other fence that's kind of like protecting their coop from the rest of the yard. They're in the yard, I'm chasing them down, my son's chasing them down. So finally we got them back into their fenced in area, not necessarily in the run, but their fenced in area. And they were free ranging, but in a, you know, little protected space because I had fixed the fence. So anyway, they were having the time of their lives. And I was like, all right, this is gonna be regular, even though their run is plenty big enough for them to, you know, move about. Anyway, the next day, we're outside, I go outside, my husband is sitting there, he's having his morning coffee, and he was like, yep, there's a hawk just circling that area. So I don't know how often we're gonna be able to do that now, unfortunately. Okay, we're gonna get not a ton out of this, not an entire other batch of mini muffins, but we should get several more. Now for the full size muffins, they take about 20 minutes. I'm probably going to check these at 10 because they're a lot smaller and just see where we are, but let's go for 10 at 350 and we'll hope for the best. All right, friends, 12 minutes for these mini muffins was absolutely perfect. These are done on the inside. They're gonna be so good. We're gonna make biscotti, and this is actually something I've made. I usually make it more like Christmas time. It's perfect with coffee or like hot cocoa or something, but I just felt like this will be a good one to make right now. So that's what we're gonna go for. Let's take our mixing bowl that I have washed, and we've got our whole box of cake mix here. I'm gonna pour the whole thing in. So this is not a half recipe, we're making the full thing here. Now, biscotti, if you've never had it before, it is a very dry, would you call it a dessert? I'm not sure. I guess it would be a dessert. You have to add another cup of flour when you make biscotti, okay? So you've got your cake box, but you're adding additional flour to it. So another cup goes in. This makes a lot, y'all. All right, next we need butter, and you need a half cup of butter, so a full stick. And you want it to be melted. We also need 3 eggs, so while that butter is melting, let's go ahead and get those in there. Now, normally when making biscotti, I would use vanilla extract. However, today I'm making almond biscotti, and yes, I will make sure people know that there's nuts in this for allergies. I use almond extract because we're doing that. You need 1 tablespoon, okay? So actually, let me get a thing for this. I'm pretty much do by sight teaspoon, but tablespoon, it's pretty rare that I use that much. Okay, let's add in that half cup of melted butter, and we're just gonna mix all of this together. Then we're gonna add in some chopped almonds that I have. All right, one thing to mention about this one is it does take a little bit to combine. So you have to mix it for about 2 minutes before it really comes together. We've been about a minute now. It's working, it's getting close, but just know that in case you haven't made these before. Now for this recipe, make sure your hands are clean because you gotta work a little bit with your hands to get this going. So we need to kind of roughly split the dough into 2. And what you're gonna do here is basically create 2, oh, I dropped a little. Oh, I didn't add in the almonds, hang on. I chopped up some almonds, so we need to add those in and just pull all that together. Okay, I just noticed that a screw is loose on my mixer, so I definitely need to fix that. It's the little screw here that holds this piece that kind of keeps it in place, so remind me in the comments because I might forget. Y'all know how I am. Okay, so we're gonna take about half of the dough here, biscotti dough, and we're creating, I like to first start with creating a ball and then kind of shaping it into a log. For me, I just think that's the easiest way to go. You can use your counter, but honestly, the dough, it sticks together so well, I don't find it to be too difficult to just do this by hand. All right, try and get it as even as possible because we're gonna end up cutting the biscotti out of this, and I want them to be similar sizes. Okay, so sort of like that. Let's do the second one. We're gonna start these at 375. They're gonna bake for 30 minutes, and then we'll let them cool for about 10 minutes before we cut them, and then they actually bake again. So I'll walk you through that whole process, but you start at 375 for right at 30 minutes. Okay, my friends, just took out the biscotti out of the oven. These were 30 minutes at 375 degrees. We're gonna let these cool for about 10, 20 minutes or so. We're actually gonna eat lunch, and then I'll come back and finish these. Just let them cool before you do anything else, before you cut or anything, so that they will cook up nice and properly. All right, friends, our biscotti is cooled enough that we can work with it. So actually, let me put this back over here on our baking sheets. Now I'm gonna take these and cut them into like about 1/2-inch slices or so, and I'm using a serrated knife, which you're probably gonna want, and then you take them and lay them on your baking sheet. I'm currently lowering my oven temperature to 325 because what happens is, so we cut these all like this, lay them on here, bake them for 10 minutes at 325, then flip them over and bake them again at 325 for 10 minutes. So that gives them that nice like crunchy biscotti texture. Hopefully I can get all of them on here. That would be ideal. We'll move them a little closer together. The flavor of that is really good. I'm liking this. So we're just laying them all out like so. Trying to lay them all out. Sort of shove in these little ones here. Okay, so now we're looking all right. We're fit we mostly fit it on here. 325 for 10 minutes, we'll flip them and then go 325 on the other side for 10 minutes as well. And get these nice and browned up like biscotti is. Let's feast on some extras. All right, so first thing we're gonna taste is the chocolate zucchini brownies. We're just doing little bites here because, well, full disclosure, this is our second time filming this taste test because the microphones weren't on the first time, so you're welcome. We've already eaten more of this than we actually want to eat. We know of it. Okay, so chocolate zucchini mini muffins. I'm gonna tell you the same thing I said a minute ago.
They're sweet.
They're sweet, okay? Now, here's my suggestion for that. If you're buying a box of cake mix in the store, they're gonna be sweet. Yeah. Period. That's just how it happens because obviously you're getting the ingredients from the store and you're not gonna take the sugar out. If you're making my homemade version of the cake mix, I would cut the sugar in half. So I think the box of cake mix has 1.5 cups of sugar. And honestly, I'm thinking about modifying that recipe on my website anyway. And it's not, that's standard, that's typical, but we prefer less sweet over and over. And I feel like as we kind of move into this healthier lifestyle, that's how we're adjusting. And I would want to share that with you guys too. But all that to say, if you're gonna make my homemade version of the cake box mix, just cut the sugar in half because you just don't need all that. Yeah. It's probably the taste standard to a mini muffin though. Like if you were to go and get a mini muffin, like in the little packages or whatever, that's the amount of sugar that you would get. It's just not our preference. But the flavor's good. You have no idea there's zucchini in there. Like you never know that there's zucchini. So
how do you do that? Like you just mince it up really good?
Yeah, I put it in the food processor. Yeah, processor. So like I said before, normally we shred it, but this time I didn't just because our daughter would prefer not to have the shredded pieces in there. Yeah, me too. Although it's not very, I think it's hard to even tell that there's.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
It's like getting a fatty piece of chicken or something.
You think?
Like, yeah.
I've never had that, but they're both more like texture people than I am. I'm just like, whatever, I'll eat anything. Okay, next we've got the, what is this? Cookie bar.
Cookie bar.
This is the second time filming this, y'all. These are amazing.
I like this one because you don't need teeth.
Good point.
I like desserts that you can chew with your tongue and the roof of your mouth. It's weird, but...
It's the weirdest way to say it. But he's not wrong. They're like gooey, but there's this nice, almost like crispiness to the very top of it.
Yeah, I don't know if I call it crisp, but I know what you're talking about.
It's not crunch. It's not crisp. It's just like there's almost like the paper thinnest crunch on the top.
That's really good.
It's not like, I'm not talking 1/4 of an inch thick or anything like that. I'm talking like a piece of paper. Yeah. There's a little tiny crunch on the top.
Kind of like what you get on the that creme brulee.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
This is even thinner than that, but very good flavor. So before I said the only thing I might add to this recipe is a little bit of vanilla extract, and I don't feel like it's missing anything. I just think that vanilla extract almost adds a depth of flavor that it's the smallest amount, right? Like you put a teaspoon in cookies, but it just adds there's this extra depth of flavor that you get with vanilla extract. So take it, leave it. It's totally fine without it, honestly. All right, biscotti. I need a smaller piece, like a really small piece. You hear that crunch?
You need teeth for this one.
You need teeth for this one.
This is the least sweetest of these three. And it should be, I guess, biscotti.
True. You gotta have a cup of coffee with biscotti, or at least a hot chocolate. If you're not a coffee lover, fine, we can't be friends, but just have your hot chocolate. I mean,
warm up some milk. Bedtime snack.
Literally. The only thing I would change about these is, personally, I love almond flavor. It's probably like in my top 5 flavors.
Yeah, me too.
So I would add more almond extract, and you guys saw this recipe called for a full tablespoon of almond extract, but I still think I would add a little bit more because I want that really like rich almond flavor.
Yeah, I don't taste it coming through.
And there's almond extract and almonds in it. So, but I do think if you're not an almond fan, that wouldn't be for you. I just want it to be like, I want it to hit me in the face.
Yeah.
That this is almond biscotti.
If you're not an almond fan, just replace it with peppermint.
That would be gross.
'Tis the season.
Actually,
I don't know. Could work.
well, maybe during
For hot cocoa.
the Christmas time, like a peppermint glaze or something. If you dipped them, ooh, that's a good idea. A peppermint dark chocolate dipped biscotti. Coming to you this Christmas. Stay tuned, because I'm making it happen.
Stay tuned, everybody.
Stay tuned, it's happening. Whether you're buying your box of cake mix or you're making it from scratch like I do, which is crazy easy, y'all. Stop buying your boxes of cake mix because it's so easy to just make them. These are great desserts, easy to have on hand, and I'm able to take them and share them with friends tomorrow at church because we don't need them all here.
Get them out.
Our verse today comes from Philippians 4:6-7. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything, by prayer and supplication, with thanksgiving, let your requests be made known to God. And the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you want to see more content like this, or if you just need more inspiration in the kitchen, check out the video that I have listed above because I know you're going to love it. Also, if you're new, I'd love if you would subscribe and stick around. I really think that you're going to find something that you love here. Hope you're having a great week.